So, Kent, well, I would usually say welcome, but I got a way different setup now because you invited me here. Usually, I'm either at the church or at a library or at the med school, and I have my equipment. You saw the box for my
Yeah,
4-H. Um, but now we're like in a real studio. Format's a little bit different, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
So, Kevin Brady, he recommended you, and then at first, like we were just talking a little bit about this. I was gonna ask you about the Eagles, and now I'm very curious about the SDB or SDPB. How or what? Let me get back to it. What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I've had a number of jobs over the years, but currently, I do streaming media. So I am in charge of doing um, basically open government type things. So I stream boards and commissions meetings for the state, for SDPB, the legislative session. We record and stream live and archive everything that goes on in the Capitol building for the legislative session. And then we also just sort of tend or take care of all the rest of the streaming for the network. So our live radio streams and then our live video streams for high school activities, our regular public affairs programming, basically anything that's streamed, and then the technical side of most of the web and apps and things like that as well.
How many years have you done this?
Well, I've actually worked in this building for 39 and a half years. Um, Doing what I currently do, about 20 years doing web things and streaming.
So how did it all start? Like, since were you just a kid and you're like, I want to be in radio, I want to do this, or how did it all start?
Yeah, I was just a kid. And in middle school, I guess the opportunity arose. They got a grant and they bought some equipment and they put a little TV studio in my middle school. And it was the video club, and we met after school, and we did things. We recorded interviews, and we learned how to use equipment and things like that. And then it was actually kind of through the librarian there, Dennis Nath. He still lives in Mitchell, and started. I guess that kind of piqued my interest in broadcasting. And the year that I moved to the high school, his job got moved to the high school, so the studio moved over there. And I just sort of continued doing that. I had a friend that got me a job out at the TV station in Mitchell. It was KXON at the time. It later became KDLT, and then later moved to Sioux Falls. It used to have a studio in Mitchell, though, and I worked there. I started there when I was 17. Came to USD and got a job at KUSD. Actually, before I got accepted the job, before I was accepted as a student, and started doing work study and part-time work at KUSD, and would go back to Mitchell over the summers and help cover people's vacations, summer vacations, things like that. So I did that for a number of years. And then my senior year of college at USD, went full-time. I was the network's first overnight television operator. We weren't on the air 24 hours a day back then. And we started feeding educational programs. This is back in the day when people recorded on VCRs, and we would feed blocks of educational programming to schools. So they would set their VCRs to record from like midnight to 6 in the morning or whatever, and we would feed them blocks of programming. It wasn't for people to watch. It was kind of feeds to transmit that signal out so the schools could record it.
Oh, that's really cool.
And boy, and then the story just goes on from there. I was in operations for 9 years. An opportunity came forward to be in television production, which I loved. That was my degree. My mass communications degree was creating video programs and things like that, doing some radio, doing some audio. And the opportunity came by to do that, and I started entry level, sweeping the studio and doing all that, and doing audio for productions, and then eventually doing video and doing editing, and when the whole did a little bit of fundraising there for a while, And then the whole web thing started taking off, and I assisted the guy that was in charge of that get the first website going for SDPB, and boy, the rest is history. Been there through all the transitions from different content management systems, and just been here doing it. And then when streaming media took off, sort of we carved ourselves a niche for being able to do that and providing public service in that arena, and that's what I've been doing.
So this is okay. I like this stuff. I want us to talk about like the tech side. So usually I'm really into technology and conspiracy theories. So, but I won't talk about conspiracy theories on this part. But the tech stuff throughout your years, how have you seen it like change? Like since you were younger until now, has it been like a big change or?
Well, yeah, I mean, back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. There was no internet. I was just talking to my boss today about that. We're doing risk management work right now, and just the facility we're sitting in. Um, it wasn't on. I mean, now typically TV stations and radio stations are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Back then, we actually signed off. We had one TV station. We'd sign off, and then somebody would come in the morning, turn everything back on, and sign on for the day. And now we have 5 over the air. You can actually go home, put up an antenna, and receive 5 different channels from us over the air on your TV. Now, 4 of them are video. 2 of them are audio, so 6. So 2 of them are audio. We have our main radio stream, which is NPR, and then we have our main classical music stream. So, that in itself is kind of crazy. So you have one main high definition television channel, a sub channel called Create, a sub channel called World, and then a sub channel just for kids. So just the infrastructure to put out all those programs 24 hours a day has changed so much technology-wise over the years. I mean, it just simply wouldn't have been possible in a building this size, that long ago. Um, you know, Radio network, was certainly we didn't have studios in all the places that we have studios right now. The interconnect just to get the signal out, was a big technical deal. And now we're moving some stuff around using the internet and, not just terrestrial microwave and satellites and other things that we used to use back in the day, but, it's gotten cheaper, but again, you're getting the risks involved. I mean, anytime you're using the internet or fiber to move anything, you got a risk of some guy in a backhoe, ruining your day or your week,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden your workflow, you used to have all this infrastructure, all this equipment tied up into just moving your signal from point A to point B. And then now it's just, well, we'll just hook it up to the internet. And, well, internet's got to work,
Mhm.
you know? So managing those risks and doing those things, but it's so different. I mean, TV studio wise, equipment wise, the ability for you to basically take a studio in your backpack and go anywhere and do that is something that was kind of unheard of back in the day. When I started shooting video, it was a very large video camera. I mean, it took a big guy to have a big shoulder to put a big camera on, and then slung over your shoulder was a video cassette recorder that was not lightweight in itself with an umbilical cable. And that's how you went and recorded, highlights from the baseball game on at Cadwell Field in Mitchell. It wasn't just whip your phone out or a little pocket camera that, was nice and easy to hold in your palm of your hand. It was a lot of equipment, and the batteries were huge, and they didn't last very long, and they weren't very good quality. So, over the years, things have really, really, really changed. I mean, people are recording stuff for TV shows on DSLRs, on what used to be film cameras, and then they became digital cameras, and now they can do 4K and 8K
Yeah.
video. So it's just kind of crazy seeing all that.
Yeah, and I was just yesterday, I was thinking about it 'cause, I was remembering, "Oh, yeah, 'cause I gotta do this episode with you," and I was wondering about this, the equipment in the studio, and then I was thinking, I was like, "Well, what do I got?" And then, yeah, I was thinking, I got my phone to record, and then, a few mics, and then, I just plug it into a laptop, and then, yeah, Adobe, and then record, and then that's it. And then now, nowadays, I don't know how it was back then, but, like, editing, I don't so I'm not a journalist, I don't have any expertise, so it depends on how the quality of the video is, but I just Google all this stuff, go on YouTube, figure it out, and hopefully, try to get something, but, like, nowadays, I'm guessing it's so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this and looking at a representation of our words on the screen and being able to basically cut and paste. You can go in and swipe and cut and paste. When I learned how to edit audio in this building downstairs, it was on reel-to-reel tape. It was quarter-inch tape, reel-to-reel, and if you wanted to edit, you had got a China pencil and a razor blade and a little editing block, and you figured out where the syllables were in the words that you wanted to cut, and you marked it with a China pen, and you brought it down, and you sliced it with a razor blade, and took a little piece of tape, and you taped your audio tape back together.
That's how it
And it
was?
was a series of edits. So it was called destructive editing because you're literally cutting the tape with a razor blade and taping it back together with a little piece of Scotch tape. This is non-destructive editing. I can hit Control Z and back up the last 3 edits if I screw it up. You screw up an edit cutting tape, you're done. You gotta re-record the spot or, get the interview back with the person that is now deceased, and you can't get an interview with that person anymore, and you just destroyed the tape, you know?
When did that change, or when did they start using more, like, the computer software?
Um, Boy, Cool Edit Pro was the very first editing software I ever used, and that would have probably been in, I don't know, maybe the mid-90s, late 90s, and then Cool Edit Pro was bought out by Adobe and turned into Adobe Edition, I believe. But I mean, this whole non-destructive or linear editing is just, I mean, it's just kind of mind blowing when you're just used to cutting tape and you get good at it or you don't get good at it or whatever. And then you can just come along and throw a couple of microphones, record it on a hard drive and chop, you
Yeah.
know? And the new technology, um, is we can sit down and record an interview. It will transcribe it. You go back, you pick out the paragraphs that you want edited, you tell the program, it'll edit the program for you. Yeah, and it'll fix any, if there was a motor running in the background or birds chirping or, cars honking or whatever, you can just say, "Hey, make this studio quality," and the software nowadays will just make it studio quality.
Yeah, cause so when I record, I use 2 software. So I use Adobe Audition, and then there's also Adobe Podcast.
Mhm.
So the Audition part, I still don't know how to use it well, so I always use that as a backup, but there's a filter on Adobe Podcast. It removes the noise, makes everything clear. There's still some hiccups. Sometimes if you whisper, it will just, like, block it, thinking
Yeah.
it's noise, but same thing, it will transcribe all the words, and you could, like, pick out, delete. I'm like, "Oh, snap. It's way easier now."
Back in the day, that would have been a rack of equipment here with sliders on equalizers and all sorts of different ways of bending and changing the pitch and doing different things, but it would have been a rack of equipment, and of course, every time you run audio through something, it just added noise or added hiss or added hum or whatever, and so, you'd have to notch filter different frequencies out, and it would have been, I mean, it would have been thousands of dollars worth of equipment and big racks, and it still wouldn't be as good as what you can do today automatically with software.
Would it take a lot more time?
Sure, you gotta futz with it, to get the right frequencies knocked out or added to or boosted or whatever. Because being able to just sit down and record with this quality of a microphone, and have it sound as clear as it does, um, was I mean, that was a feat back then. You're usually trying to remove something, some hum or some hiss or something like that, or some crazy popping of peas, and so I guess the equipment's gotten fairly reasonable in price compared to the old, professional gear. What you can do with consumer grade equipment is really crazy good compared to even what the old broadcast, specs were.
Another thing that's very, very cool is with the phones. So even now, I don't do it because I don't know how to do it. I know my sister does. You know how like people use on TikTok or Shorts and all that stuff? Editing their videos on there, like cutting. I don't know how my sister does it, just doing it like on the phone. She goes, pa, 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 and then she just edits it like some whatever you call it. So she doesn't even use a laptop. So I'm like, oh, snap. And then now I saw another video where like they were doing like same thing like a little mini studio. Everything's just hooked up to the phone. Maybe they just have a little mic, and then same thing. They'll just pa 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 pa.
Yeah, it's probably a little Bluetooth wireless mic
Yeah.
hooks on your thing, or I hate when they hold them up to their mouths to record TikTok videos. Drives me insane. Just clip that thing on your thing and then forget about it. Use your hands for something else.
I seen one where they do same thing. They have it clipped onto like a credit card, or someone has like these braids and they have it like that. I guess just trying to
On
be.
the brim of their hat, yeah. Yeah, whatever, man. Just get it. Just don't hold it to your mouth. It just drives me insane.
Another thing I want to talk about a little more of the tech, since we're talking about it. AI. Do you guys use it, or what do you think about it implementing into like radio or TV?
AI is an interesting topic. I just was on a panel. We talked about for an hour about AI, and the host wasn't particularly complimentary towards it. Um, really felt that creating things was more of a human thing to do, and I guess professionally, it's interesting to be able to do research quickly. I will have it help me with my grammar occasionally, things like that. Where I find AI useful is where I find myself not useful. And that is, if there are topics, we talk about streaming media. I recently did a report for some folks about AI captioning of media, of audio and of video and things, for the folks that are hard of hearing or deaf or disabled. And there were things about streaming that I didn't really know about, or I didn't think were a big factor in the whole deal. So running what I had for a presentation through AI to point out deficiencies in a presentation that I'm trying to do was incredibly useful. Did I let it write everything for me? No, I didn't. But I let it point out to me that there were other perspectives and other opinions on this that I didn't realize, because I'm a hard of hearing person, but I'm not that bad. I've got hearing aids, and they're Bluetooth and they're wonderful, but they're not hearing cures.
Mhm.
And so I like to use AI. Somebody comes up and says, I need an ad for Facebook for the Eagles Club. I'm not an artist. I'll be the first to admit I'm not an artist. But AI has come along from Adobe so well that I can just descriptively tell it what I want. And I can produce ads. I can produce um, magazine ads that promote our Eagles Club very easily. And it looks like a professional did it. Again, the flip side, the host's opinion was, well, you should have had somebody that, you just took money out of some artist's mouth or whatever, that they could have done some art for you. Well, one, I don't have the money to pay an artist to do that. I mean, the Eagles is a fraternal organization. The money we make at the Eagles, we turn around and give away. So I don't have a big budget for art and for graphics and for other things. And I don't have a whole lot of time. So I need something fast and cheap and easy. I've got to be able to do it. I'm not an artist. And AI checks all those boxes. It's something I don't have to hand it off to anybody and wait for them to take care of it. I can just get it done.
Mhm.
So that's what I really like about AI. It's not really relying on it to do much of anything other than, some heavy lifting when it comes to graphics and double checking me on a few things. But I really think the technology, the subtitles, most phones now, It'll just be able to give you a text version of what's being said on your phone call, is really darn handy for folks my age and older, and for folks that have, hearing difficulties.
Yeah, and a lot of people I talk about AI with some guests, and they mentioned one of them, David, from, the music department. We're talking about it. I thought he was gonna be against it, but he says no. But what I'm trying to get at is most people will say AI could be used as a tool. Will it replace, like, 100% be perfect on something? Maybe not, but it could be a tool because it could have been the same thing with, like, for example, like the editing back in the day. Maybe when computers came up or digital art, people are like, no, it's going to replace like the regular artist or the old school stuff. But no, it's just a helpful tool. Maybe it could be implemented, just both ways.
Yeah, so,
Mm,
I mentioned that I do streaming at the legislature, and in any typical legislative day in Pierre,
mm,
um, we stream about 24 hours worth of audio and video in every day. So, committee A, committee B, committee C, floor of House, floor of Senate, that sort of thing. To have enough captioners in Pierre to be able to handle 24 hours worth of captioning a day would I don't think you could physically have that number of people. They need to take breaks every now and then. They're
mm,
human beings. They can't go, I mean, committee meetings are sometimes 2.5, 3 hours. One person signing a meeting, you would have to have multiple people doing that.
mm,
So for AI to be able to step in, and it's not perfect, it's getting good, it's getting really good, be able to roll that out in 9 different languages if you want. Have it actually speak that language back to you if you want that meeting translated to French and then it's spoken back to you, you can do that with AI. It's
mm.
it in real time. We have a technology, that we can deploy that you walk in with your phone, you hit a QR code, and it just starts typing what people are saying on the microphone in that room in real time. There's no delay. It's not like a video feed. It's not anything else. It's just a representation on your phone of what they're saying right across the room. It's just so it's pretty incredible what AI is doing, and it's able to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do with people, I guess. And if you, and that's I guess that's one example I would give you is it's it's um it's a service that we hope to roll out very soon, and it's only because AI can do it, and they can do it at a reasonable price that we can afford. It and Otherwise, we're hiring captioners, and we're bringing them in, and it's on a very limited basis because of the capabilities, and we can only do so much. You can't do everything. You can only
Mm.
do certain committee hearings or certain speeches or certain things like that, and we've done that over the years, and we will continue to do that, but AI is gonna offer us a whole 'nother level.
Do you think AI will get to that point where, hey, maybe one day you'll interview the AI, like it'll start talking on its own, like in those movies, iRobot, stuff like that, or
Man, I have no idea. So like I could interview a representation of like Carlin or something or Stephen Wright or something like that. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. It'd certainly be entertaining, but um yeah, I guess I don't know.
we'll
It'd
see
be
how it goes.
interesting.
I'm gonna go to the topic that I wanted to talk about. That's what Kevin Brady was telling me. The Eagles. What is the Eagles Club, or describe it? What is it?
So we'll start out sort of on the macro level. The Eagles is a building in Vermillion. A lot of people pass by it on Main Street. They don't know what it is. It's probably not the most attractive building on Main Street, or we're going to work on that. But it's a facility, and we're a fraternal organization.
Mm,
So we have a group of guys, and it's called an airy. Um, so if you know what eagles are, there's a group of eagles is called an airy, and we have an airy and we also have an auxiliary of ladies that meet, and They sort of do their own thing. We do some joint things together, but they go off and raise money and they donate it to causes. The guys kind of do the same thing and keep the facility running. So the bar and the buffet, we call it, keep people hired. We have a manager and we have bartenders and we have a business to run. But more importantly, we're a fraternal organization. So there's a couple of different mottos I'll throw out there. People helping people is one of them. We recently had a member come and say, "Hey, can we do a fundraiser for this family? They had a tragedy and they need some money." And I said, "Of course, that's what we do. We're people helping people. We raise money and we help people, or we donate gift cards or gas cards if you're going to Mayo or or whatever. We'll if there's a need and we can help. I mean, food pantry, backpack program, I can list off a zillion things that we've given to in the last number of years. But we're an organization that meets socially twice a month, and we take care of the bills, but we also take care of the charity part of it. So we're always planning our next fundraiser because we need money in the coffers to give it away.
Oh, okay. I didn't know okay. One thing that I thought it was at first, now I know, being here for, 4 years, I thought it was a restaurant. I was like, "Oh, I guess it's at a restaurant," and then, I've been in there, I think it was the Boys and Girls Club, they had something. I was like, "Oh, this place is nice," and I think I've met a few people, I just don't know a few of their names, and then I started looking at you guys doing a bunch of charity work. I was like, "Oh," but I was wondering, I was like, "What?" 'Cause, someone said you could be a member, but then you guys do charity and this and that. I'm like, "Oh, so I guess it's like a mixture?"
It's a bit convoluted. There are Eagles clubs in the United States that are closed clubs. You need to be a member to go in and use the facility and to take part in what goes on there. Um, by the nature of Vermillion, the community we're in, we have so many college students, um, and I would say even some of the professors on campus and things are kind of transitory. They're in for a few years, they're out, maybe getting their masters. Um, that that doesn't work for us.
Mhm.
If we were a closed club, we wouldn't have enough people to, I don't think, keep the doors open. So, the choice was made a number of years ago that we would be more of an open club.
Mm.
Now we still, for IRS reasons, we need to do things a certain way, but, the benefits of being a member, are basically you take part in making decisions and being able to volunteer for fundraisers and doing all that. We've got a nice banquet facility that can be rented out for a reasonable price to members. So it's a certain price for the public, it's half price for members. Um, there's a number of benefits for being a member, but mainly I would say it's involvement. It's getting involved and being able to spend some hours volunteering and raising money. And yeah, you can get up at a meeting and say, I think we should do something for the food pantry or
Mm.
do something for amateur baseball. Or we've been doing a lot of things recently for like the Booster Club and the Tanagers and things like that because we have people interested in doing that. And it's incredible when people want to do things, what we can get done.
Did you guys also do the breakfast burritos on D-Days?
We did breakfast burritos on D-Days.
I've heard about that, I always hear they say they sell or they have breakfast burritos, in front of the Eagles, and I never go. Well, I never reach downtown, I'm always at Prentice Park, but I think you guys are very
On the other end, we got hot chocolate and coffee and breakfast burritos and we did do a breakfast just recently, probably 3 weeks ago, and it benefited the the part of the school lunch program that takes care of the kids that have negative balances in their account. We're about to do a check presentation in the next couple of days of several $1,000s to that program to help feed kids that have negative balances in their school lunch account. So, I mean, we're kinda all over the place from volleyball to, you know, backpack programs to feeding kids lunches to helping out with folks that have had a tragedy or a loss. Um, we've uh, we've given some money recently to the Newcastle community club over there, the Newcastle, Nebraska, to be able to do some of their efforts and their youth program over there and some other things. So we don't we're in our impact is a little bit larger than Vermillion, and Vermillion is a club. There are thousands of Eagles clubs. We're in the Dakotas. We're North Dakota and South Dakota are one unit for the Eagles, and we probably have 13, 14, 15 clubs in in our sort of region, and then we have a region, and then we have a national. We're actually international because we're Canada and the U.S. So by becoming a member in Vermillion, you're actually a member of thousands of Eagles clubs all over the United States and Canada that you can go into and meet other Eagles. We're pretty friendly people, and have a good time, have good discussions. We have meetings pretty regularly, conferences, regional conferences, and then a national conference that happen every year, and those are fun to go to. There's lots of things to eat, drink, and see. There's also lots of educational opportunities, learn from other people how to do fundraising. I learned a lot personally. I've been through a lot with the Eagles. I've been through all the local chairs. I've been through the state chairs. I've been the state president. And I learned a lot in those years, especially my year as state president, on fundraising and focusing on goals and doing things. But I still learn.
Mm.
I still learned from some ladies in, was it Coral Reef, Florida? Sat and talked to them one night, and they taught me some things about fundraising. Her and her mom are volunteers at the local Eagles Club, and this is the way they do things. Now, you know what? I can adapt that for use in Vermillion, and so far it's worked out really cool.
Well, that's cool. Do you have, like, a favorite memory, in the Eagles or anything you could think of?
Um, I would have to say my year as state president. I traveled to all but one Eagles club in the Dakotas. I missed one, Minot, North Dakota, um, which doesn't have a club anymore, but they do still meet. But I would say it's the people. Um, I wish they weren't so far away. The one is like an 11 and a half hour drive, up to the very, very end of North Dakota. Desolate area, but the people there were fantastic. Um, the service they do for their community is really cool. What they do for families and what they do for their members is a really neat thing, and I got to see, they all adapt differently. Rapid City is different than Valley City, is different than Vermillion. They all adapt to the local needs, and they all, make it work. And that's what's so great about the Eagles is this is sort of a framework. They've got a constitution and they got a plan and everything, but how you do it locally is up to you. It's not so rigid that you can't adapt it and make it work in Vermillion, make it work in Valley City, make it work in Watford City, make it work in Mandan and Bismarck and all the other places that have Eagles clubs. And some of them are very large facilities. Some of them are very small. They make it work for their own community.
Okay. Is there anything that, like, speaking of Vermilion with y'all, is there any, like, future, I don't know, expansions or future things or events that you guys are planning or wanting to do?
Well, I would say the biggest thing we can't really expand anywhere. We're sort of landlocked there where we're at, and where we could, I mean, build another building somewhere else that's bigger. What you find is when you take an Eagles club out of a downtown area, it dies.
Okay.
Um, People don't go there anymore. It becomes less relevant. I don't know, to the community. I don't know what all the reasons are, but I would say we're pretty much in the building we're going to be in. We've been there, you know, well, we're going on our 80th year,
Whoa.
and we've been in that building for most of that. And we're going to be there. So what we're going to be doing is renovations. We're gonna be upgrading the sound system that's failed in our banquet room. We're gonna be doing some painting and some decorating in the banquet room to make that more appealing, take care of the floor. Um, just some little things to, like, improve the building, the creature comforts, I guess. But, our main focus is on, like you say, fundraising. Our poultry party's coming up, so that's bingo. It used to be called turkey bingo. Everybody used to know it's turkey bingo because you could play bingo and win a turkey or a ham or a pork loin or whatever. We've since transitioned to gift cards because who wants to keep a couple pallets of turkeys in the cooler, for that night? So it's easier to give them a Hy-Vee gift card for $20 and they go out and buy their own turkey, or they can get some bacon, or they can get whatever they want for Thanksgiving. So that it used to be our big fundraiser every year was our poultry party. The kitchen is phenomenal. It's all homemade soups and taverns and hot dogs, and they don't make the hot dogs by hand, but they have nachos and different things, but desserts are really, really good. So the pie, the oyster stew, the chili, are all homemade. And, it's an incredible, feast as far as what you can go there and eat, but then we play bingo, we play pitch, and you can win gift cards and, um, and go get your holiday, celebration going with a turkey or a ham or whatever. And, that'll be the weekend before Thanksgiving. I don't know when this podcast will air or when it'll go live, but, please come down and join us. And, the food's reasonably priced and it's fantastic. And then bingo's only a quarter a card. And, like I said, you could walk away with a prize. We have, prizes for kids up on the stage. They can go up and get a doll or a coloring book or something if they want, or the parents can get a gift card and use that for whatever they want. So we do that's our used to be our big fundraiser every year, but it's still one of our bigger ones. It's as far as engagement with the community goes, a lot of people that have been in Vermillion a long time know that we do it, and everybody loves playing bingo. So we do that. We also have bar bingo on Thursday nights. Not everybody knows that. We pack the place. We have usually a home cooked meal on Thursday nights. And then for members, we have another event that happens after that. But bar bingo is a quarter a card. Oh, you get a lot of people in there to play bingo. They're not just members, but a lot of people from the community.
Oh, so it's a public thing too, not just for
Mhm.
only members.
Yep, yep. Oh, yeah. The bingo on the during the poultry party is definitely open to the public.
Oh, okay. Do you guys do anything around Christmas time, like the parade of lights or any events like that?
We started that tradition last year with the parade of lights, and, I believe we're doing it again this year. But yeah, we do the parade of lights for the first time in a number of years. We had a float in the parade for the Dakota Days Parade. We haven't been active in that since the '90s. So we brought that back this year. Um, uh, yeah, we're now for the football season open on Sundays, and we turned that into a fundraising opportunity. And we're supporting or going to be donating to. We've got a raffle going for the booster club, and we've got one going for the volleyball team to buy some new uniforms. And that's all going really great. We have members bringing some items in for some food, taverns or taco meat or whatever, and you can have snacks and watch the game and participate in some fundraising that goes on.
Okay. What I'm a little curious now.
Mhm.
If is from your view, Vermillion, is it growing? Is there like changes coming up, good, bad? I've only been here 4 years, and it looks like there's a bunch of cool stuff. Now, knowing talking to people, there's like, oh yeah, there's this activity or this group is doing this or this organization. There's new stuff coming up. What what do you think about it?
It's there's been a big my estimate, and this is just me personally. This is not a representative for no Eagles ever. I think there's been an interest in talking to people, and they wanna get out, and they wanna be able to participate in something and volunteer to do something. They wanna feel a part of something, and they wanna do good. I mostly run across younger folks that say that to me, and they're raising a family, and they just don't really have time, but they know they wanna be involved. They know they wanna help. And so, as a member of the Eagles, we've got to figure out how to keep them engaged and how to nourish their their desire to help people. I mean, we're people helping people at the end of the day. So what are you doing? Are you doing something that's mainly something for members? Because, it's okay to do that too, to thank our members and have an appreciation night or do something like that. But it also helps them to call and ask them to volunteer for things. Hey, can you come in and call bingo? Can you donate a pie uh, to the poultry party? Can you just be a part of this? And they'll say, well, I've got a couple hours I can give you, or I don't have a couple hours, but I can make that pie, or I can buy some buns, or I can be a part of this thing in a different way. I'm not going to help you make the burritos for Dakota Days, but I can bring some shells, or I can chop some onions for you, or I can do whatever. So it's just as important for me, the money aspect, as it is the care and the feeding of the members as well. And you've gotta keep them engaged. And how do you do that? You do things. You keep things going. You find out what their interests are. Hey, what are you interested in volunteering for? What's your personal thing? I've got my thing. I identified that my year as state president. I've got my passion. But what's yours? And how can I help you? You might not know how to do a spaghetti fundraising dinner to feed 200 people. I've done it several times. I've helped do it. I've not done it personally. I've had help doing it. So I know how to organize it. I know how to get it together. I know all the things we need. I know the ingredients to put together. The volunteers are part of the ingredients. I know how to make it all happen. I know how to do the advertising for it. You might not know how to do that, but if you're a part of our organization, we'll teach you how to do that, and we'll help you do it. We'll make it a success. We're not gonna let you fail, you know? That's the great thing about the Fraternal Order of Eagles.
So how does someone become a member if they're really interested?
Stop down and meet the members. Hang out. Just ask questions, be curious. And if one of the members isn't curious about you, be curious with them. We have several members that are really good at recruiting, and they'll be curious. Hey, why are you here? Are you here to play pool, or you here for something else, or what's the deal? And as they get to know you, as we get to know you, or as you get to know us, we have membership applications at the front door, and you can fill that out, and you get a couple of members to kind of sign off on it for you. Um, and there's a membership fee that you pay. Caveat to that is if you're current or former EMS, fire, police, military, your first year is free, 100% free. You just put in the application, put in your information if you're a veteran, or if you're currently serving, or if you're a former cop, or currently a cop, or EMS, or anything like that, a firefighter, a volunteer fireman. Your first year is free. It's a way of thanking those who serve. And otherwise, for regular folks like myself, I write a check. It goes to the floor of the area, as we spoke about earlier. You're voted on. Takes a couple rounds of voting, and then initiation. You come in and you raise your hand and you swear to do a couple of things, and then
Okay.
you become a member. And you're at that point held to a little bit higher standard than everybody else as far as your conduct and what you do. And then your involvement is as much as you want it to be. If you want to come to meetings, fantastic. We have some members, um, they're known nationally as DMOs, drinking members only. They come in and they use the bar facilities, but they don't come to meetings, and they don't necessarily always participate in fundraisers or do other things. That's okay. We need everybody. We're a big tent. We need everybody. We need people to come in and support every aspect of the Eagles. And so when I first became a member, I had little kids. I didn't have a whole lot of time. I was a user of the Eagles Club. I came in, we had spaghetti nights, and I could feed my family super cheap on spaghetti night. And my kids were always happy because it was a really good meal. And And then I was working 2 jobs at the time or whatever. But then as my kids got older and I had a little bit more time free up, I went through the chairs. And by that, I mean, started out as a conductor and then went to chaplain and vice president and, but sat in all the seats for a year, learned how to be a president, was the local president for a year, and then started the climb at the state level, went through the chairs at the state level. Not everybody wants to do that. It was an incredible opportunity for me and I took it, but that was later in life. So I transitioned from just a kind of a regular old member of the club and just kind of using the benefits of the club as much as I could, and then into, really growing as a fundraiser, as a person that knows, can help people identify needs and take care of them.
Mhm.
That's what I enjoy doing now.
And you love it, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Is there, before, because I'm running out of time, is there any last words or anything you wanna shout out?
Like I said, I think I've articulated it pretty well. The organization is really adaptable. Um, I mean, there are no real hard and fast rules, and just because we tried something a few years ago and it didn't work, or we tried something a few years ago and it did work, doesn't mean that's the way we run things all the time. You show up to a meeting as a member of the Eagles, you have a vote, I have a vote. My vote's not more important than your vote. If you make a case to the members at the meeting that you want to do things a certain way, and I say, hey, that's a horrible idea. I don't think you should do it. But the members on the floor think that that's a good thing, and they voted in. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make that event work. I'm going to help make that event work, because that's what we do. Even though I'm dissenting vote in that, once we vote to do something, we all vote to do something. It isn't I'm going to get mad and take my football and go home. It's I'm going to be a part of this and I'm going to make this work. And that's, again, that's the cool thing about the Eagles is, yeah, there can be a lot of drama and there can be a lot of infighting and there can be a lot of things going on. Anytime you mix a membership and a bar and a restaurant and a buffet and everything kind of all into one, you're going to have a lot of opinions on things. But I've been around long enough to understand when to set those differences aside, and we're all working towards the thing. And just because I did a successful Chislik fundraiser, 10 years ago, doesn't mean anything for the next thing that comes along. I got to stay active. I got to keep doing things. I can't rest on any laurels and say, oh, I was state president. Now I get to watch everybody else do everything. It doesn't work that way. You're there to be a leader and inspire people and to help them do things. And that's what being a part of a fraternal organization teaches you. Whether it's lions, moose, elks, the folks over in Yankton at the Masonic Temple, it's all built on education and passing along knowledge, and you just find the right fit. And in Vermillion, that right fit was the Eagles for me.
Okay. I need to go check it out now. That's very interesting. But
Absolutely.
I think this is where we could cut it, but I do want to thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's great having you in.